had seen him or knew who he was, but for how long? I don't. It was probably a few months.
But see, no, it's no. You know,
once we started
I'm
dating,
different though because I'm always interacting with kids anyway.
That's what I'm saying. So they already knew.
They already knew who I was.
And like dating wise, like
once we started, I was coming around, so they knew. You know what I'm saying? I was coming around. I was just around, and it wasn't like an introductory. It was just more like she talking to Marcus.
Because he was always around. He was around from church, so they saw him.
And me and her cousin was real cool, so I was around the family. I'm cool with her family. You know, sometimes you will have to, if you decide to get serious with somebody, I think it's good to sit down and say, hey, this is so-and-so, we're getting serious. Just wanted you to know we don't have to get your permission, but I just wanted you to know that it's something that you might have to buy into eventually because we're getting serious. So just keeping you up on game on what's going on. Everything else, y'all grown. We grown. Y'all ain't got to get no permission from no kids. You know what I'm saying? Y'all pay the bills. Y'all pay, you know, this is what mom about to do. This is what daddy about to do. And your opinion don't matter because you under age anyway. You don't got no opinion.
Marcus, now you can't do them kids like that.
Yes, you can.
If you do them kids like that, baby, you gonna have a house full of turmoil.
And you know what's gonna happen if you go ahead and buy into that.
You gotta get them to buy in, but don't be just like
them kids gonna say,
what you gonna do?
Nope.
Now he's talking a little strong, but he's really not as strong as he's talking. I mean, because, and I'll say that because how you approached it. He didn't approach, even though he might be saying that out of his mouth.
Saying that,
you know, my children. I'm saying that's how you.
I didn't have to approach him. You did. I wasn't going to. You were supposed to do what they're asking. They say how many people. How long did it take you to introduce them to me?
Yeah,
I don't have to introduce myself to them. You're supposed to do that if that's what it presented itself to be. If it had.
So Missy, let's go here. So when you told your children, Mom is dating Marcus, did you ask them questions like, "What is your take on it?" Did you give them space to communicate with you what their feelings were toward him? Now, we're not talking about a fantasy. We're talking about real life issues here. So when...
I did. I mean, I told them and I did ask them. I think my oldest son, he was in high school. He was either freshman or a sophomore. Lacey was probably 5 or 6, maybe something like that. So for me, my oldest son, he was like, he just knew what I had come out of. He just wanted me to be happy, and he just saw that I was happy. I was in a different space. So he was fine with it. Lacey was so little, he didn't really,
I'm like literally like his dad. For real.
He didn't really understand.
I am his dad. No, literally. That's my son because it was just like I went right into being his father. And then she ain't telling the truth, y'all.
What?
She did exactly what I just said before she started talking. They asked you, did you introduce them to me like that? No, it was more like they were seeing me.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying once I started dating you,
so let me say my thing. Let me say this. I knew what was going on as far as situation where you're getting ready to be in a relationship with a woman with kids, right? A man, this is for you all. A man has to be already ready for what's taking place. So when I met them, I'm like, man, I'm being honest, me and Jeremy had basketball games. Before we was married, I was going to his basketball games. I was talking to him, Lacey. I think a couple of times she was like, can you pick up Lacey or whatever? And, it was from there because I took on the job of doing
right, but that's not what they're saying. They're saying like, did I talk to my kids individually? Like, what do you think? That's what they're asking. And I did do that individually, like, okay, what do y'all think about him?
You
know,
actually
do y'all
talked to
like him?
Lacey?
Lacey was too little. Jeremy, I did. Lacey was.
Oh, okay.
Lacey was.
I think you did talk to Jeremy because Jeremy said, "Oh yeah, he's cool."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember that now. So she did. I take that back. She talked to one of them.
Good. So we have questions from the audience on this same topic. All right. It says, at what point did they start calling Marcus dad?
Oh, you know what?
I remember.
I don't, because, and I'm gonna tell y'all, it was never you gotta do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was never, we never talked about that. We never discussed that. It was never like, that's your, you gotta call him that. I don't know when he started doing it.
Was it hard with the oldest child to call?
Well,
he's a little different.
He don't call her mom. You know what I'm saying? So he don't talk. He don't talk at all.
Yeah.
He's not. You ain't gonna get grandma, grandpa. He gonna come in there and say,
"Hey,
how y'all doing?"
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. So even with that, Marcus, so when you deal with a child that's different, let's say that, and Michelle, you probably have different children too, right? And so when you deal with a different child that's not going to abide by the rules, how do you handle them? Do you ignore that? Do you just pick your battles? What do you do?
Okay, before I answer that, can I answer the other question? Because I'm going to answer the part about when Lacey started calling me dad, because it was really it was sentimental to me. Because I felt, not that I didn't think he appreciated me. I felt like he appreciated me more than ever because he knows who his biological father is. And so maybe he was like 10. No, he's probably about 10 or 11. And it was his birthday, or was it my birthday? It was his birthday or my birthday. He might be 12.
I don't know.
Anyway, it was his birthday. It was either my birthday or his birthday. And he gave me a card, and it was my birthday. And he gave me a card, and he was like, I love you, thanks for everything that you do, you're my dad, you've been my dad, it's always been, remember that card? He was like, you've always been dad to me, so he never said stepdad or nothing like that, so when he decided to call me dad, it was like, dad. Yeah. And I was like, oh, remember I told you, I said, this card touched my heart.
Oh, yeah.
He said, I've always been dad, and that's that. And I ain't never told nobody this. Y'all lucky tonight.
You're a big teddy bear.
Yeah, he
is.
Yeah, I got a little softness to me, stuff like that gets me. That got me. I was like, oh. And so after a while, he just he went in and calling me dad. And what did he call me before he called me dad? He called
maybe
me
Pops or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. But it was dad, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't no hard transition or nothing. Yeah. Because my thing is, the guys that y'all date, they have to be able to put time in with y'all kids. This is, Michelle, what I was saying to you about having to explain to them who they are and get the okay. The okay is when the man spends time with them and he's interested in what they doing at school, if they like sports, if whatever it is, if they want to write a book, whatever, like the man has to really show that he's interested in what they do. Because kids, if you act like you ain't interested in what I'm doing, you definitely, you ain't the one for my mama, because it's really about me. She the mama, but it's about me. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the way to find it.
That's right.
All right, Michelle, what's your answer?
That's right. So, when you just have to make sure that with the kids, like he said, if you have a difficult kid, a lot of times that other person can soften that difficult kid up. Yeah. Because they can see it from a different perspective, because they on the outside looking in. Yeah. You on the inside, and you like, why they so hard? What is it? But then that other person sometimes comes in and be like, if you look at it from this way, or if you see it from that way, and then when they soften them up a little bit, then they start taking a liking to them a little bit more. And then, then it's like, oh, okay, so they not so bad. Oh, like Marcus said, when you put that time in with them, then they become, then they kind of, like he said, the kids do, you ain't thinking about me.
Yeah.
I ain't thinking about you. Your kids
Yeah.
have feelings too. So,
Exactly.
even if I don't, sit them down and say, this is what I'm doing, they have feelings. And so we have to be mindful of that too. And you have to be mindful that your whole house is about to change.
Mm-hmm.
When you single and you get married and you don't have kids, your whole life is changing. You know how they push the toilet, how they turn the toilet paper on the roll, and how they use the toothpaste, and they push it from the middle and you push it from the bottom. Your whole life is changing. So can you imagine that on, kids know a lot, they see a lot, and they're great observers, but processing that stuff is difficult. So can
Evangelist,
you just
Jack.
imagine that on a bigger scale, because you have the kids? So you just have to be mindful of that.
Very good. Thank you so much.
What'd you say, Marcus?
Yes, Marcus.
This time here, I'm gonna answer the other question too, because I didn't get a chance to. So how do you deal with? I was trying to answer both of them because I didn't want to forget nothing. So you asked me, how do you deal with the kid that's kind of
different?
Yeah. So this is how I dealt with Jeremy. Actually, like I said before, I was interested in what he was doing, but even in him being different, I talked to him, and I found out who he was and how he was, and I was like, okay, this is something that it wasn't a bad thing he was doing. He was just real quiet and kind of standoffish. So I was just like, okay, he's quiet, kind of. Let me tap into what he likes. And it's all about the kids. It's not bad to say, okay, because he likes this, this is how I'm going to win him over, because you're not trying to win him over. You're trying to understand him. So you're not winning him over. You're doing it to understand him. So I was just more like, let me see. He likes basketball. He likes Jordans, and then I'm a talkative good person. So I was just like, hey, you see the new Jordan come out, you like this? Yeah, man, stuff like even when he didn't talk, he wanted to talk, because sometimes he wouldn't talk to Missy, but he would talk to me. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really about tapping into what the kids like. I know some of y'all probably think, ain't about what all. It's about what they like, but it's a way you tap into it. You can't just say, oh, like I was saying earlier, you can't just go, oh, this your new daddy, or this your new boyfriend, or this my new boyfriend, you got to deal with this. No. It has to be a joint decision from the lady and the man.
Very good.
Yeah.
So Marcus, they have some more questions. They said, did Lacey being 5 make it easier to blend your family?
Well, Lacey was 5, but Jeremy, Jesus.
Sorry, I was locked out.
Lacey being 5 made it easier for our relationship, but Jeremy is what? 8 years, 6 years, 7 years older than Lacey? 9 years older than Lacey. So the age didn't matter, because I was dealing with
what was the question? I'm sorry. I had
14-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 5-year-old. You know what I'm saying? So I had to deal with Lacey, which was 5. I had to deal with
Jeremy was like 11.
Jeremy was like, was he 11?
No, he was older than that. He was in high school.
Like 13, 14.
Maybe 15, 14.
And then Marcus, were you intimidated at all with being a stepdad?
No, because I got help me, God, but I got a little confidence. And I kind of think I could take on a little bit of anything. So it really wasn't. I was.
But
just
people try to talk him out of it though. Even his family, everybody was like, "She got 2 kids," and we laugh about it now. I laugh with his aunties about because one of his aunties in particular was like, when he told her, she was like, she got 2 kids. You don't want her. And we talk about it now because now, of course, they love me. But you know, because people felt like that. Like
all my family loved you. It was just one particular auntie. She was just looking.
Yeah, which is natural.
She was just telling me. She was just
what to
telling
expect
me
with having kids.
She didn't even tell me what to expect. She was just really more like,
you gonna have to deal with her and her 2 kids.
Yeah, no, she didn't even say that. She just was like.
Well, the question is, Missy, how did you win his family over?
You know what? Really, I never had any problems with them. I mean, once I came around, but it's so funny because the first time I went to their family Thanksgiving dinner, they laughed and everybody was like, "You stand at the end of the picture so that you know when y'all break up, you can be cut off." So one of the girlfriends was saying,
"Yeah, we joke."
I was joking, but it was one of the girlfriends that was dating somebody. And they were like, "You should stand at the end because you're gonna get cut off." So I tease her now when I see her because she's not in the family and I am. And I'm like, "See, you should have been on the end of the picture because you ain't in it no more." But
see, that's why you can't listen. That's why y'all can't listen to everybody. So you know,
this is a putting a face and a reality of what blended families go through, and so this is what we love. Thank you for your dialogue. Michelle, can you give us 3 tips that you would give? Well, you give 2. Well, each of you all give 1 tip that you would give to a blended family. So think about when it first happened. Now everybody is relaxed and it worked out. So we get that, right? But when it first happened, what tips will you give to a blended family that's getting ready to start their initial family?
Yes, I did, Sheree. I'm sorry.
Patience, grace, and a lot of love. You have to give some grace and have a lot of patience, because you have, just like when you don't have children going into something, you have to give grace for the small things that you didn't even think of. And because you have 2 separate people who are used to having things a certain way in their homes coming together as one. And so you have to think about that with children, give them some grace. Some of the things that they were used to doing at home because it was just them and their mom or just them and their dad, they can't do those things anymore. They can't, I got a house full of girls and I got 1 boy. And so, you have to remind the kids how they got to, you got to go in your room. You can't come out your room like that. No, you have to, take all your clothes in the shower, in the bathroom, you go to the shower, things that they are, because somebody new is in the home. You have to remind them. So just give them grace, to understand that their lives are really changing. And as their lives are changing, it'll get better, but they just give grace and love.
I love it. Thank you so much. What about you, Missy?
I would say, I definitely say give grace. But I think it's important to, like Michelle said, have patience. But I think you also have to know your children and who you've married. And one of the hardest things, and this is hard for Corey, is our daughter together biologically, and I still have a problem with it. One of the things I'll say is, if you have a man that wants to be a man, you have to let him be a man. And because if you've chosen to marry him, hopefully you've chosen to marry him because he's going to be good to you and your children. That's number 1. And I say all the time, one of the main reasons why I married Marcus was because he was good to my children. I could take him being okay to me, but he had to be good to my children. And he was amazing to my children. So if you've already trusted this man enough to marry him, then trust him with your children. Because a lot of times we as women, then we say, okay, you can't discipline my children. You can't say anything to my children. And I'm going to be honest, it's not easy, you know, and then if you've been single for a while, like Sharika said, and you've been raising your children, or somebody want to come in the house and talk to your kids and tell them what to do, you kind of like, you know, you're a little antsy. So you have to give him an opportunity to be a man. Even sometimes when Marcus disciplines Corey, who's biologically his blood, I'm like, but you don't have to step back and allow him to, because we want him to be a man in certain areas, but then we don't want to be him to be
Corey
a man
don't
to the
even
children.
get disciplined.
She does every now. Anyway,
I've never put her on a punishment. She's a good girl.
You holler at her, and I just
now I holler. That ain't no discipline. That's getting it right then and there.
But
That's
you know,
you have to do that.
Yeah, but you have to allow him to be a man and trust that.
We have so many questions, you all. We're gonna have to move along because the time is
Let's move
running.
along. I'm ready.
Coming in non-stop.
Okay.
So, Marcus, I'm gonna give you a chance to answer that.
Okay, and I'll move fast too. What's the
Marcus,
question?
so
He don't need to answer
the
the question.
audience a tip for being a blended family.
Give him a tip for being a blended family.
Buy into it. Buy into
Right.
it off top. Don't think about if you're really serious about marrying her, being with her, just be ready. Just buy into it, because any
Buy
other
into
way is just buy into it, because if you don't, you're gonna be running around crazy.
Marcus, did you have a discussion with the biological father? Have you ever met?
Yes.
And how did that go?
Jeremy's father was passed away when he was
my
a
oldest
baby.
son's father was not
When
alive.
he was a baby, he passed away. But they went, I mean,
My
to the
ex-husband,
point, it went like to the point where I actually, when Lacey started playing basketball and stuff like that, and I was like, man, you know, I hit him up. I said, man, feel free to come to the game. Ain't no negative energy, because I wanted Lacey to have all the support. I like basketball, so I mean, I just wanted him to be able to feel free to be around, you know, and deal with Lacey without me. You know, you ain't got to worry about me. I'm not insecure, intimidated. Come to the games. I told him that. Remember that? I told him come to the games and, you know, deal with, you know, I said feel free, you know what I'm saying? But my whole thing was, and this is another thing, say this quick, don't let the kid's father, biological father, influence the kids into not liking the new man, because sometimes it could be jealousy, sometimes it could be them being insecure, and it can cause a wedge between your new man and your child, because you really have to talk to them and let them know, hey, you know, what did your dad say to you? And you'll be the one to say if that's right or wrong, but don't allow them, that can mess up a blended family right there. Not that happened with us, because it didn't, but I'm saying it can mess up a blended family though.
Very good. Michelle, you have 4, how many girls do you have? 3? 3 girls and 1 son.
3 girls.
All right. And so did your ex remarry?
No, he has not remarried, but he does have a significant other that is very involved with the kids.
Very good, because that's the ideal, typical situation. So in that, as a mother, can you tell the audience some great advice of how to go into that? Because initially, I know your emotions and everything as normal, because we're human. You know, you had questions, or, you know, you had boundaries or whatever rules and regulations that you put into place. What would you advise another woman going into a situation like that? And then Missy, they have a question for you. Answer when she finished. They want to know, were there any relationships between the dads and between Marcus? Was there anybody else in there between Marcus? All right, go ahead.
Okay.
So my tip would be to just, I don't think I didn't have any ill emotions or anything like that, because I was done. And so my heart wasn't there. And so I'm not like, my feelings or anything wasn't hurt about somebody new coming in there. You know, I was glad for that. But being introduced to the children and having a relationship with the children, you know, first, but they didn't. And so understand that you can't control what someone else does. And so because when you feel like you can control it, it's going to make your life miserable.
That's good.
Understand you can't control what they do or who they have in their life, but as long as that person is good to your kids and your kids are not complaining about how they treat them, then you gotta let all that other stuff go. As long as they treat them good and ain't no problems, because that's all I care about. If my kids is happy, I'm happy.
Right.
And so I think that you will eventually build maybe I don't know, a friendship or whatever. Because I've seen, some blended families where both parties have moved on and but they're friends while co-parenting. It may not ever reach friendship, but as long as you can co-parent effectively for them kids, that's all that matters. And so just know that you can't control what that other person does or who that other person has around them. Just know that your mama bear will come out if them kids tell you that something ain't right. And that's all you can do with.
Very good. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Missy.
So I was married for 10 years, well, 7 years before Marcus and I got together. So my oldest son, had years with my ex-husband. So, but once I divorced him, I didn't date anybody until I started dating Marcus. So my oldest son, who is now 31, he did have a time where he was with, my first spouse. But Lacey, in between me divorcing his dad, I didn't date anybody. So Marcus was the first person that he was around after the divorce.
That's very good, because it's necessary for single people, male and female, to recognize that, not to just go around dating everybody. Mm-hmm. And so there was a question in here saying, do you believe in bringing all of the significant others to be introduced to the children?
Mm-mm. And especially if you have boys. Well, you know what? Even if you have boys or girls, because either way, it's the look of them seeing their mother repeatedly with different, men, or over and over again. Like, what type of example does that set for your boys to feel like, okay, is my mom sleeping with all, and kids have a tendency, it's funny now, Lacey's grown, we're grown. He feels like me and Marcus don't do nothing, sleep in the bed together at night. You know what I'm saying? Because kids don't want to see their parents like that. So I think it's very important that if you're not
really, she tells them we don't.
And Marcus, they said, can you tell them a deal breaker? What would a deal breaker be for someone entering into a blended family?
A deal breaker? Not having control over your kids. Because if your kids is telling you to shut up and be quiet, he's gonna tell me the same thing. You can go ahead and have that over there. I'll see you at church, Sister Lisa. See you at church, baby. No, that's the main thing. Like that's the main thing. Like, you gotta, before you get into a blended relationship, you have to have control because if it's not any control in the relationship between you and your kids, then how can you control the relationship between the other guy and your kids? It's not gonna happen. Never gonna happen. That's my deal breaker.
Yeah. How important is a blended family's language? Because you have different language, or should you have a different language for a blended family?
What do you mean by language?
I don't know. it's funny. We just told Lacey what we were getting ready to do. We was like, he said, "What you doing at the church? What you getting ready to do?" We said, "Oh, we're doing a blended family Zoom." He said, "What is a blended
He
family?"
didn't even know what it was.
He didn't even know what it was. It was
He
like,
didn't even know what it was. He was like,
what is
blended
it?
family. I said, see, that's good right there. He don't even
Right.
know what a blended family.
So I think you know, it's just all in how you go into it, and everybody's relationship is going to be different. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like God really blessed us. It was very easy for us to navigate our blended family. You know, it hasn't been perfect. No. Have there been rifts? You know, no. But my boys didn't go into it with a disrespectful, you know, attitude or position. You know, they wanted me to be happy. And still to this day, you know, they're not disrespectful.
Yeah, I told them how we did that. It wasn't.
Oh,
yeah, I told them.
But I think, you know, I think it was kind of easy for us.
That's why it was
Yeah.
easy though, because
so they have a great question. Were there any moments where there was a significant other crossed the line, like cutting a child's hair or doing something that either parent didn't agree with? Michelle, is there something that happened in your family where you sent your children over to your spouse and then they came back another way, or something that been done that you was like angry about?
Michelle said, yeah.
You're muted.
Yeah, there has been. Oh yeah, I was muted. I'm sorry. I was trying to figure it out. Yeah, there has been some things like that, but I think when you can talk about it, and sometimes I didn't do a lot of talking, sometimes I did a lot of yelling. I probably shouldn't have done a lot of yelling, but sometimes I did.
Yeah.
And that's where the things that, you know, it's not perfect, but you gotta try to do it however you can. So there were times where I did a lot of yelling, but then came back to the, you know, drawing board, you know, had a discussion with some other people who really love me and want to make sure that I succeed in life. And, you know, and had a discussion and said, you know, if I'm wrong, tell me, let me figure out how I can go back to the drawing board so that I can be more civil. Because sometimes you got to have those people, you know, to talk to, because sometimes you are wrong and sometimes you got to go back and apologize because you shouldn't have said what you said. I can apologize, and I've had to, you know, change my tone a couple of times. But after discussing you know, then I was able to say, okay, let's not do that again. Before you do this, let's have a discussion about it. And it worked out.
Very good. Thank you for that, because that's reality. Sometimes the police is called, like I started out saying. Sometimes,
Right.
you know, in a real blended family, there's going to be trouble, you know. So we want to bring that to reality, because we have a vast audience here. And so, yeah, there is trouble. I was married, and so I get it. You know, we're all human. And when we have children involved, that, you know, especially if it's a mother, you know, I can only speak from a mother's perspective. You know, when the children come into play, you're going to first protect your children. That's first and foremost. My children must be protected by any means necessary. And so, yeah, I get it. Thank you, Michelle. What about you?
I would say we had well, we didn't have a significant other issue where they did something wrong, but my ex-husband did try to take me to court because he said that, you know, I wasn't letting him see, you know, Lacey and all that stuff. But the agreement was we wanted Lacey to be at church. And he didn't agree with that. You know, Lacey played the drums. He was, you know, musician. Were like, if he comes with you on the weekend, he has to be home to come to church on Sunday, or you can bring him, you can come with him, or whatever. He didn't agree with it, and we went to court. I was so upset when I got the summons. I was like, is he serious right now? And Marcus was like, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be okay. So he was going like he was gonna sue me for custody. By the time we left that courtroom, the judge was like, he was like, you knew the judge, didn't you? You knew the judge. How would the judge be on? But before it was over with, the judge was like, he wasn't paying child support. You know, he wasn't taking care of me, he wasn't doing anything, but he took me to court, literally. And when we left out of that courtroom, the judge was like, if you come back in here and you haven't paid her any money, you're going to jail. You know, so but we did our thing was we wanted him to be at church, and he didn't want to, agree to
And she
that.
wasn't
So
even making him pay child support.
yeah, he wasn't paying child support either.
She wasn't making him pay
Like,
child
whatever.
support, so he was just.
No, we had a little beef about that.
Yeah, I was mad
So
because
Missy, Missy, they said, question here. Did you accidentally take baggage from your other marriage, your previous marriage, into your marriage?
Accidentally? It wasn't even accidentally. It was just yes. Yeah.
A big old bag.
You know what? I'll be a little bit transparent with this. Most probably know this, but we were engaged and then we broke up for a while because of that. Because I really had some issues that I was dealing with, and so we dated.
Almost a deal breaker.
We got engaged.
That's another deal breaker.
Yep. And we broke up.
I got another deal breaker for you.
We were probably broke up for what, 6 or 7 months, 8 months, maybe longer than that. Yeah,
maybe a year.
A long time. And then what brought you back together, Marcus?
He missed me.
I think maybe. I think it was God. I think no. Let me see. It was God, but
he's so funny, ain't he, Michelle?
Something had happened where. I mean, I guess she was telling me like, no, that ain't what I wanted. That ain't who.
No, but no. Actually, how we got back together was because I got into a very bad car accident.
Oh yeah.
And my car flipped over, and he came to pick me up. I was out of town. My dad didn't drive out of town.
I drove out of town to pick her up and was like, oh man, I was thinking. I remember I was thinking like, dang, I might be great loser, like. You know, so that it really messed me up because I was like, this is worth fighting for because like I couldn't imagine her leaving, you know what I'm saying? It was something. I forgot about that.
So he said initially maybe it was God, but he really meant that because unless God had, if that never happened, the possibility is you all would still be broken up or trying to resolve. But see, he gave you a wake-up call.
Yeah, because I took, whoever asked that question, I took a lot of baggage from my previous marriage into our relationship. To be honest, I really, when I started dating him, I probably shouldn't have. I really wasn't ready because emotionally, I hadn't healed from all of the trauma I experienced. It was a horrible marriage. It was a horrible life. Physically abusive. I hadn't truly officially healed. And so I came into it, with all of those things. I remember when we first started dating and I didn't even notice it. And he would say, I would like flinch all the time. If he would barely like raise his voice, or we wouldn't even be arguing, but I would jump all the time because I was so fearful. I had all of that stuff in me that, hadn't been resolved. And so it definitely caused a problem.
She had, I can't believe you telling this. But she brought baggage, but then I used to tell her too, like when the baggage would show up in the conversation, I would be like, see, that's from your previous relationship.
Yep.
You can't address me like we're in that relationship because I'm not who you was married to. You know what I'm saying? Like the guy has to recognize also what the woman went through previous to what she's in now. Like you gotta put barriers on, like this ain't me. Like, because you can talk to a woman, a guy can talk to a woman that was married before and notice some of the things that she did in a relationship with the last husband, and the guy has to, I don't know if it's any guys on here, but you have to address it and remind the woman, hey, that's what y'all did. This is me. I'm not like that. You know what I'm saying?
That's why you have to be healed to go into a relationship.
But I'm the healer.
What about? Healer Marcus. Yes. I love it. All right, so we have so many questions. I've had a literal ball. What about you? In the audience, can you please put a chat in the audience and tell me if you enjoyed these questions and the panelists. Michelle, we have one more question for you, dear. What do you think is, from the children's point of view, how would you say your children think you're handling the situation?
Mm. Mm.
Whew.
You're frozen.
Mm.
If she's frozen, she can't hear you say she's frozen.
Oh, I'm Selena.
That
thought
means
she
her
was
internet's
a
messing up. She can't hear you
Alright.
say she's frozen.
Well,
So what about you, Marcus?
What's
Oh,
that?
there she goes. She's
Say the
back.
question again.
Michelle's
You were
back.
frozen, Michelle, and now you're muted. Now you're muted.
What was the question again? What was the question?
Oh, how do her kids think she's handling where they are?
All right,
can
go
y'all-
ahead.
oh, my
I hear
internet.
you.
You can hear me now.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I think that a lot of times you don't want them to know the nitty gritty, and so that stuff is on the inside of you. And sometimes it comes out in ways
Mm-hmm.
that you don't expect for it to come out. My kids were still pretty young. I think that they weren't really sure one way or the other to see how I handled things.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead, Marcus, because I think she's frozen again.
Okay. I think the kids
Well, her situation is different than ours.
yeah, but as far as Jeremy and Lacey, since I'm taking care of my responsibilities and you get money and I actually Lacey hasn't had to purchase any car until he turned what 23
21.
and you know the kids was taken care of, so they like you did well. We ain't out here looking stupid and need money and we can get anything we want, you know. It's basically like they think she, you know, they think she all right. I mean, we got our ups and downs, our arguments
Jesus,
and
yes, we
everything,
do.
but you know,
Sometimes I want to check the deuce.
yeah, me too. And so, but the kids, but the kids are. They're like they want us to be
I think
together.
the kids keep us together.
I think they keep us together.
That's good. That's good. So
Yeah.
on that note, we appreciate you all for coming. It's been a pleasure. We have to do number 2 for sure because I have so many questions here. We can't get
Oh,
to all
goodness.
of them. But now
Y'all can inbox me y'all questions.
you got to put it on Facebook, right, Marcus?
Let's not
It
argue.
was good dialogue. I really appreciate you all. Thank you for being transparent and answering the questions from the audience. I really appreciate you. Right now, we're going to go to our Bible trivia, and we would love for you all to answer in the comment section. If the questions are too hard, we have 3 questions and we have 3 gifts, all right? So I want you to type fast if you know the answer. If you do not know the answer, say, I don't know it, and I'll move quickly so we won't waste your time, all right? How many books constitute the letters section of the New Testament?
Ooh.
How many letters
Lord.
are in the New
6,
Testament? Say it again.
6.
Can I give you a hint?
What?
I'm going to give people time to find it.
7.
How many letters are in the New Testament?
How many letters? Missy?
Nobody? How old do you have to be considered an adult? Yes, unmute. You're muted. You're muted, Missy. You all can stay on mute. Yeah.
I'm not sure because some was 18, 21. I don't know how many letters it is. Lord forgive me. 21.
Oh, who said that? Who's Cam? Cam said it first. 21. 21 is right. Whoever said it first. All right. So let's move
Y'all
along.
pray for me.
All right. Let's move along. How many books constitute the history section in the New Testament?
Oh Lord, I don't know that.
Jesus.
Y'all got me.
It's simple as pie. What's the history of the New Testament? Just take a stab at it. Just start putting numbers in here. She said, ask me who cut Sandra.
I asked for something easier.
All right, I'm gonna ask you something easy. All right, let me see. The answer was one. All right, the answer was
one.
history. All right, so let's just go off the cuff. Let's see. Were there other people in the day and time named Jesus?
Yes,
Hispanic.
yes.
Jesus? Yes. Very good. Selena said yes. All right. So let me ask one more question. All right. And Jenelle, can you tell me if it's going to be a tiebreaker or not?
Victoria got before me. Tori got before me.
I was going to say, Selena can't play.
Selena can't play. Oh,
That's why I'm answering after everybody.
all right. All right.
And we got Victoria already.
Who was Joseph to Jesus?
His father, earthly father. Oh,
Come on, who said that?
His father.
Katrina.
Katrina, thank you so much. It was his
Yeah, put it in chat so we can read.
It was his heavenly father, right?
Well,
Very
know
good. Katrina, thank you so much for that. All right, because that was an important question because he wasn't his natural father.
Yeah, earthly.
All right. Since the birth of Jesus is coming soon, we're going to stay there, right? In that area. Who came to Mary and said, Hail Mary, thou art highly favored?
The angel.
Which angel and what was his name?
Marcus Adams.
No, it wasn't.
You so extra.
So extra.
Victoria got it. Yes, Victoria had it.
Yeah,
all right.
Right.
Janelle, how much time do we have?
I said Gabriel.
No, you didn't.
You said Marcus.
Yeah, Victoria said.
Oh, Victoria heard me say
One or
it.
two more.
And who did the angel, what name? Let me see. The angel said someone was going to name Jesus. Who was going to name him?
Oh. I don't know the answer next. I might not be right.
Jerry, who's gonna name Jesus?
It's right
Seriously,
there.
you don't know.
Yes,
When the angel told
The
Mary that she
angel?
was going to bring forth the son,
and thou shalt call his name Jesus.
who was the first martyr?
She said, thou shalt call his murder, and he shall save the world from his sins. But
It'll be in Luke. Michelle? What'd you say?
The angel.
Was it Stephen?
No.
I don't know.
You said the first martyr, right?
Oh, yeah. All right.
Oh, we went to a new question.
Very good, Michelle. Got that one. All right.
Who answered?
What was the answer to the other
Why not
question?
answer that one?
The angel said, and Joseph shall name him Jesus. Right? So
No.
Joseph got the opportunity to name the son, even though it wasn't his son. I think that can wrap up this whole thing, right? Because they weren't blended, in the sense that the term wasn't there then, but he wasn't the earthly father, but yet he had, interaction with his son. And if you read that closely, looking from a blended family mindset, you will be able to see that scripture differently. And you will know that Joseph didn't have, just like Marcus was saying, don't let any division come in there. And Joseph didn't do it. And Joseph was in a quandary when Mary got pregnant, Marcus, because, come on now.
You talking?
I'm getting stirred up a little bit.
Get stirred up, I like it.
because he was in a quandary, because now his wife that he's espoused to, he's only engaged to, now she appears married. And what in the world am I going to do? Am I going to go with that open shame, or am I going to cover her? And that's what Marcus did for you. He covered you, right? And that's what Joseph did. So that is a prime example for us to cover each other. And that forgiveness, I just want to say this, forgiveness, I think is the #1 tool that we can use. Love, forgiveness, and sometimes you have to forget. I'm just saying. I know a lot of people say, I will forgive you, but I won't forget. But I think forgetting about certain things will help certain things.
That's good. That's good.
You are a preacher.
Ain't she a preacher? She's a preacher.
So I appreciate you all for, just giving us your time tonight, because you could have been doing a myriad of other things. We really love you all, and thank you so much for sharing with us. But right now, we're going to turn it over to Jenelle, who is the host of this whole shebang. And we thank you, Jenelle, for giving us this opportunity. May God bless you. Goodbye.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate everybody. I'm just gonna give thanks to God, give thanks to our bishop and Sister Nancy Gates, the pastoral leadership, the singles core team who helped coordinate and plan these events. Thank you to our panelists for sharing and sharing their story and being transparent with us. I really appreciate it. Some of the key takeaways, I came from a blended family, or my parents were divorced and my father got married, and a lot of these I wish they took these, they adhered to some of these the advice that was given. However, I didn't grow up in a safe household, but it was rough with that whole transition of being a young child and starting to get to know like my father's wife. And unfortunately there's been bumps and bruises with that to where it's played out in our adult life. But I try and learn, and as I was a single parent, my son's an adult now, but really try to do things better with the help of the Lord. And so thank you for these key takeaways about considering the children, the healing, the process of, releasing some of that baggage from previous relationships, and also learning and knowing the children, getting to know the children. I think those are some really key points that help me building relationships with the children, which I would think that could definitely help with, just getting familiar and bonding and coming together as a family. So I appreciate you all. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining us and attending, and for participating and supporting the singles ministry. Thank you so much. And our prayer is always that God be glorified in all we do. We pray that you're blessed and encouraged, and that you enjoy these sessions as well. I just want to lastly say, stay tuned for upcoming events in 2023. We have some things in store that we pray will empower you, promote fellowship, and support the kingdom, and have fun. So, we're bringing back Singles Weekend 2023, which, we'll continue these conversations and like Elder Jackson said, have part 2, have something for singles, have something for our singles that may have been married and are divorced. So stay tuned. And in order to stay in the know and keep in the loop of events that we have, make sure you join our KAM Singles group page on Facebook, where we'll have our posts, share our post, invite someone to these events. And I just want to thank you. I want to give a shout out and say happy birthday to Selena, because her birthday's tomorrow, and to all the December babies, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Happy birthday to Jenelle, because her birthday's Sunday. She wasn't gonna say that part. I'll say it.
I wasn't, but I just wanted to we just want to appreciate you all. Have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and check us out in 2023. God bless you all.
Good night. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Email jbrantley@kam.church for your prizes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yep. And I got
Thank you, everybody.
Yes. Thank you.
waiting on my honorarium.
Thank you, Mark.
Please pray. Y'all pray for
Janelle,
me.
can you
Pray
put
for
your
me.
email in
I
there?
need Good night.
JBrantley@cam.church.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. All right. Let's see.